Hi, I'm Chris and I'm here with Megan as part of our next Getting to Know series of videos. And today we're here with Ian. He's one of our service users, so he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, and Meg will be asking the questions as normal. So Meg, over to you.
So welcome Ian. We're going to start with our first question that we always start with. How and when did you first get involved with changes?
Well, it was way back in 2014. I had issues at work where I'd been bullied by my manager, unfortunately, and I had what I thought was a breakdown. I'd gone through family issues as well. Nothing to do with my wife, may I say. My wife's been my rock all through this, but yeah, I was bullied at work, and I'd had issues at home personally with family members, and I'd planned my suicide. I felt that I'd become not worthy of being here, not able to continue with day-to-day life as it was then. And as I said, I won't go into detail because it might upset people and bring back bad memories to them who might want to see this video. But I planned my suicide, and my wife came back from school early. And if she hadn't have done, I wouldn't be sitting here telling this tale. But I went to the doctors. My wife dragged me down to the doctor that afternoon, where my doctor, a primary care Shelton, got into touch with Healthy Minds initially. And with the hour of me coming out of the doctor's surgery, I got a phone call from Healthy Minds. And I got a phone call every day for a week until I could see a one-to-one interview because of getting into the place. So once I got the interview a week later, I then went on to a one-to-one course with Healthy Minds. But during that 12-week one-to-one, after week 8 or week 9, they said I'd actually moved forward enough to move me into changes in January, early 2015. And that's when I came down, and I initially saw Annabelle Goodall, I think it was, through Healthy Minds, who started the first group down at the Booth Street place where I was. I did the assertiveness course with Annabelle. Then after that, I went on to the Changes program, and I've been a member, and I'm a full member of you now, of which I've gone through all the different courses, and I've done them doubly, and I've also done them 3 times during the last 6 years. So I've enjoyed the time with you, and it's built my confidence, it's built the way that I feel, and it's brought me back to being me now as opposed to the person I was in 2014, 2015 and 2016 when I was going through the process of recovery.
I mean, that is an incredible recovery story. That is lovely. And how is life different now to how it was, say, 6 years ago? Had you struggled for a while, or had it kind of creeped up on you?
I think looking back, and I think what changes did for me, they brought the worst out of me, but also built me back up to bringing the best out of me. Looking back, I think I'd possibly struggled before that, probably 2012, 2013, and it came to a head in 2014 when I planned my suicide. And it's been a difficult time during that time. But looking back, it's been a road where you came to a crossroads. If you think of your hand as a crossroads, you're here and you've got 4 ways to go. You go down the route where you don't come back from. You go down a route where you just get on with it and just you're okay, but you're not really okay. The 4th route, you go down the route where you can stay in the support bubble that we have at home with your family and just talk about it as and when. Or the 4th road, I believe, you get the help. And the help is, in my case, with changes. And what changes have done for me, they've just rebuilt me, but allowed me to be rebuilt at the speed that I wanted to be rebuilt with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you do it yourself, don't you? Changes kind of doesn't do it for you. It kind of facilitates you to do it for yourself, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, what I think in a way that I can probably describe it a little easier is changes had the remote control, and I was guided by whatever buttons they pressed on the remote, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
To make it simplified for the viewers in that way. And they would press the right buttons, but they also pressed the wrong ones as well, which brought the emotion out of you. And I had a lot of tears down. Sorry.
Okay.
I had a lot of tears down at changes, but I also had a lot of laughter. And it's the laughter and the rebuild that I've loved about the organisation that you do down there. It is just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not saying that because of my experiences. I've met a lot of good people down in changes. I am still friends with people that I've met on courses, and we still go out for meals when we are able to go out for meals. I've just spoken to a lady half an hour ago, Margaret, who came down to changes on one of the groups, and we've been friends ever since. And she knows about the interview, and she says, "You're the right man for this, Ian. You need to go and tell what everybody loves about changes." So hopefully I can do that. But no, the people that I've met have just been wonderful, wonderful people, but all been in the same boat as what I've been in.
And that is, so on that note, what is it you think is kind of special and unique about changes? Because you've kind of touched on it, that kind of it's being around people in the same boat. But what is there anything else that you think is kind of unique to changes as a service?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think when you're in a position where you don't feel worthy and you don't feel life's worth living, that it's sympathy that you need. It's not sympathy that you need in most of the cases. It's empathy. It's the understanding of what you're going through. And that's what changes did for me. They empathized with me, empathized with my problems, my personal issues, collectively on a one-to-one, collectively in a group. It was a one-to-one that got me started, but it was the building of the actual mindset and getting your mindset to change. Like Phil, and I quote Phil, "You can't change the past. You can only move away from the past and build yourself up." But my argument about that was, it's the past that's got me to where I am now. If I hadn't have gone through the breakdown, I wouldn't have known about changes, and I wouldn't have known of how to rebuild myself into the person I am today. So although you forget about the past, or it's there in the back of your mind, I don't think you ever forget about our problems or our mental health issues. I think the problem's always there. It's how changes have taught you to deal with those issues now. And moving forward, that's what changes have done for me. I still remember the 10th of October 2014, the day I planned my suicide. I remember that vividly. And every anniversary, it's hard. But I remember, and I go back to my pamphlets, I go back to the times with Phil and with Louisa and Chrissy and with Annabelle, and I look at those times where they've said, "Ian, we've gone past that now. We're building you. We're pressing those right buttons to get you down the right road that you need to go down." And we all might go down a different route.
Mm-hmm.
We all might choose the route that we want to go down. We either choose a route where you get the help, or you choose a route that you don't, in the two routes that realistically that matter. And I think the more that people get to know about changes, the more people will get help, and there'll be a less of the suiciding factors moving forward. As you know, men tend to not to talk about their issues. It's normally the women that come out and talk. And I for one, didn't. I didn't talk. I went through, maybe looking back now, 18 months to 2 years from 2012 to 2014. And I should have talked.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful and so pleased that changes came into my life.
And at this point in your recovery, obviously you said you're in a really good place now. What wellness tools kind of keep you in a good place? How do you keep yourself sustaining good mental wellness?
Just remembering the things I've been taught. It's I always remember, I can't remember whether it was Phil or Louise that actually said, we have a seesaw. Yeah, that's a seesaw, and it's always in the middle where it's balanced. And what we used to do with people with mental health issues, they were always like that. So the weight was always on your shoulders all the time. And what we need to do is empty that bag and get rid of the pressure and get rid of the off balance to make it balance. And what I've done personally, I've started to say no more often.
Yeah.
To people who used to ask me to do things and says, Ian, can you do this? Now I will say, instead of saying yes immediately, 7 years ago, 5 years ago even, what changes have taught me to do, to say, hang on a minute, can I just think about that and get back to you within a week? It gives you time to assess the situation, think about whether you want to do it, 2, can you do it, 3, are you capable to do it, and 4, should you do it? And that's how I've been doing a lot of things now, where I thought, I'm not going to say yes immediately. I will say, I'll ring you back in a few days when I've thought about it. And that's one of the tools that I've been using, getting the right balance in life, making the balance work for you and not necessarily work for others. And I always remember Louisa and Phil and Chrissy saying, if you say no to somebody, it's not your problem. It is their problem that you said no, because you're looking after yourself. You're looking after number one. But there's other wellness tools as well. It's the talking. The talking is massive. I know there's a lot of hype on TV about talk to people, but it's the friends. It's the continuation of knowing that changes are just on the end of a phone call. The support groups that you have as well. Is it the support groups you can go to different venues around Stoke-on-Trent? There's those that you can go to that are really there to help everybody and anybody. It's not just for people who have been to groups already. It's knowing that they're out there where you can go and get and sit and talk about anything. And it doesn't matter what you talk about.
No.
Having that conversation, but also having the confidence to be able to share your situation, because a lot of people don't. And I feel for those people. I really do feel for the people who can't get the help that's required. And Changes, Healthy Minds alike do a wonderful, wonderful job personally and for friends that I've known that have gone there.
And have you found yourself doing the last step? Have you been passing it on? Because obviously you're in a really good place in your recovery. Have you found yourself helping the people around you?
I have, and I've done 3 things that I thought were really not pleasing for me, really, but not only pleasing for me, it's also, I think, helped you changes initially. I'll tell you the 3 things that I've done. We had a mental health weekend at church, at Milton Methodist Church. I don't know whether you know, just past the Crem on the right and along Lick Road. And we did a Methodist health wellbeing weekend. And what I did a presentation, and I've basically told the story I've told today in front of the congregation. But we had a sponsored weekend, and what we did, we sponsored Changes. And the proceeds of that came to you guys. That's a lot of money, but it was a token, and I just wanted to give something back, and I did that. I think it was £135 we raised, which I brought down as a cheque and gave it to you. So that was one thing I did. The other thing I did, because I remember the church circuit and the Stoke North Methodist circuit, we had a circuit meeting a couple of years ago, and there was a lot of people talking about mental health at the time. And I thought, well, am I going to be brave enough to stand in front of 85 people at the circuit meeting? And again, I did the same presentation I did at a smaller congregation at my own church in front of the circuit meeting, which was members of all the 11 churches that we had who meet every quarter to discuss church finances and things like that. And it was at the end, and we were running a little bit late, and I thought I need to make all my points clear. And I had a card with bullet points on. And I started off saying in 2014, this happened, and then I got rebuilt. But at the end of all that, I handed out all the Changes leaflets that I come down and pinched out to your office to take to the church, because I said, can I have these? I need to do a presentation. And I handed all these out. And during the next fortnight, I had 18 phone calls from people, from family members of church, saying, we're really struggling with our mental health. How do I get in touch with Changes? How do I get in touch with you? How can you help me personally? And I have also brought maybe 4 or 5 friends to Changes on a group session that we've done. So we've been there together and gone through the process. Obviously, the things we discussed in the meeting are all very confidential, and I know that, and that's never been shared, which I think it's also brilliant with Changes saying that initially. When you go into your room to a course, a 5 a week, a 3-hour day one, whatever it is, I always like the idea that your people, your administrators, your pupils that do the courses always say, what says in this room stays in this room. But that also gives people the confidence to release themselves, to say the things that you want to say without having to worry about, is that going to get back to somebody else? And I think that's really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so nice, isn't it, to give back? I think there's something really powerful in giving back. And just to jump back to your other point, saying no, I think that is so powerful and so hard to do.
Yeah, because I was 54 at the time. I'm 60 now. I'm 61 in February. And for all of my adult life, I've always said, yeah, not a problem. Yeah, it's not a problem. I can do that. And up until the last couple of years, I've been relatively healthy. I'm now retired now because I have a neurological illness, which affects my speech and affects my legs. So, which is why I said to Kris on the email, anytime next week, but after 11 o'clock, because up until 11, I can't get out of bed because my neurological issue, which I've also had to deal with. The neurological issue has nothing to do with the mental health side of my life. It's to do with my brain not functioning the way that your brain and Kris' brain works. My brain doesn't function in that way. So I'm now retired through ill health, of which I've not worked for 2.5 years now. It'll be 3 years February. But I'm having a good day today. I was hoping that today would be a day where I could speak, because my illness of my neurological problem causes my speech issue with my speech from time to time. So,
and how does that affect your mental health now, or does it not?
Well, it can do, because obviously during this weird world that we're in with lockdown, it's just, yeah. I mean, we just come out of isolation 2 weeks ago. We've not had any symptoms, but the track and trace has told us we had to isolate with the NHS track and trace that we were using. So we isolated for 10 days. I thought, what are we going to do for 10 days? So on the days that I could, I went outside in the garden, picked up some leaves and put them in a bucket. So it's just doing silly things like that, or going onto the computer or the iPad that I'm on at the moment and doing that. But what I'm doing at the moment, I'm waiting for the memory clinic to get back to me. I had a CT scan because I'm forgetting things. Well, I have a piano sitting behind me there. I'm teaching myself the piano now. So that's stimulating my memory, but also giving me something to work upon as a goal, or to say, because I can't read music. I just go onto YouTube and ask for a song I want to play, and it comes down with little green colours that drop down off the top of your screen. Then you just touch the keys at the right time.
And how's it going? I'm
introducing my left hand now. So I can play Circle of Life from the line with 2 hands. I can play The Rose.
I don't know what that is.
The song that Bette Midler played. The song, you look it up. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. It's called The Rose. And I can play Hey Jude from the Beatles. And I'm starting the Christmas side, the Christmas carols now. So there's about maybe 80 to 100 tunes I can play. But I'm introducing my left hand now. So I'm just getting used to coordinating my left and right hand at the same time. It's fun. It really is good fun.
So impressive.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
I always envy people who can do things like that.
I mean, why? My wife's on a grade 8.
So is she helping as well?
No. It's all me.
Oh, that's amazing. On that note, is there anything we don't know about you, like skills, hobbies, something interesting about you? Not that you haven't been interested so far, just something else, something different.
Well, up until 2.5 years ago, until I was 57 and a half, 58, I'm 61 now, I used to play squash 4 times a week. And I'm still employed at Vodafone. And I've been at Vodafone for 16 years. And in the 16 years I've been employed at Vodafone, I've never been beaten at squash. I don't know whether you remember, she's a radio presenter now for BBC Radio Stoke, and also an interviewer for Stoke City Football Club, Angela Smith. She was a 1970s and 1980s UK world champion for squash. Well, she used to run in the early 70s, probably way before your time, but certainly yours, Megan, anyway, for sure. I don't know how old Kris is, but yeah, in the early 70s, I was taught by Angela Smith at Northwood Stadium for 2 hours a day, 10 till 12 on a Saturday morning. She used to run a squash club, and I was coached by Angela Smith in squash. So that was my little story of fame, if you like, where I used to play squash 4 times a week. I used to love it.
That is fascinating. So you're the unbeatable Vodafone man at squash. Yeah,
for 16 years. Because everybody used to look at me, because I'm not an I suppose I am overweight now, but I used to be. I'm a big bloke. I'm quite big set, but I was always the eldest person at Vodafone. Even to this day, I'm the oldest person at Vodafone. And it's funny in the respect of all these little 28, 25-year-olds thinking, yeah, he's an old man. I can beat him dead easy. Come on, try it then. Let's go on the squash court and let's just go and do it. So they used to come along. Yeah, okay, let's get on. And then some of the time, I wouldn't even break a sweat. And they're running around like clowns on the squash court. And I'm just I still got my fleece on because I haven't even taken my coat off yet. You know, I'm just standing there hitting the ball. So that was one thing I used to do a lot of. Another thing as well, I was the property circuit steward for the Stoke North Methodist Circuit, where I used to look after all the buildings. And I've only just finished doing that now. I finished doing that a couple of weeks ago now. So that's something I've been involved in for the last few years, last 24 years to be precise. So,
and what does that entail? What do you do?
Looking at the property side of the church, we have to have a report done on each church every 5 years. It's called a quinquennial. And a gentleman comes that I organise. He comes and does a property survey. It's a survey of a property, basically, and tells the church what needs to be done. But we also, where the ministers live, in the Methodist side of the houses, where you might think the vicarage is, or vicarage. It's not a vicarage, it's called a manse. A manse, M-A-S-N-S-E, a manse. And that is something that where the ministers live in the Methodist Church. And I was also responsible for them. So any repairs, they've come to me, any decoration, anything that needs to be done, I was responsible for making sure that happened. I did that for 24 years, I think it was.
Wow, that's a long time.
I've just finished doing that now because health is not too good. So, but that, yeah.
And what have you done over lockdown? Obviously, you've been mastering the piano. What else have you been doing?
I did a 2,000 jigsaw puzzle, 2,000 piece jigsaw puzzle of the Twin Towers of New York.
How long did that take?
Took me 9 weeks.
Wow.
I started it in March when we went into lockdown. I think it was end of August when I finally got it framed. But it's in my hallway, just as we walk in the front door on the right. So I did that. But that was a massive challenge. I've never done a jigsaw before in my life, but I just thought I'd do something. Again, it just stimulates your brain because there's loads of sea around Manhattan, and then all the multicoloured options of all the windows of all the buildings. You can imagine, can't you? The actual picture itself. But that's been good. That's been good.
What did it feel like putting that last piece in?
I couldn't find it, to be honest. I couldn't find it. I come to the end and there was 2 pieces missing. And I thought, well, they're not in the bag. They're not in the box. I haven't done this 2,000 piece jigsaw for nothing, surely. And in the meantime, we'd had a cat and the cat had passed away. But the cat, Leo, he'd actually jumped on the table and knocked a piece off the table, which I didn't know about. And it fell on the radiator, but got stuck behind. Because I looked all over the floor, because if hoovering up, you'd find it, wouldn't you? You know, we got laminate flooring all the way through the house. So we'd find a piece of jigsaw on the floor because it's not hidden in any carpet pile or anything like that. It had flicked up and gone behind the radiator. And I just thought, I'll just have a look behind. It won't be there, but I'll look anyway. And there it was. So I picked it up, popped it in. I said to my wife, do you want to put this last piece in? She said, no, you do it. And we put it in and looked back and thought, wow. Because it filled the whole table, the dining table. We're having meals on a knee for 9 weeks while I did the jigsaw puzzle.
That is impressive, that is. I can't believe he looks behind the radiator.
I just thought it wasn't on the floor. It wasn't stuck on the chairs that I'm sitting on now. I thought, well, where else can it be? He might have flicked it under the chair. So I had all the chairs out and I had a look under there. No. But how on earth he got it? He must have caught it with his nail up and had gone over the top of the radiator. Stuck in the little grids behind the radiator, the little flute where the heat comes up. But it's stuck in there.
He might have pinched it with his mouth.
Yeah, could have done. He could have done. He was a clever cat, so he might have done that. But yeah.
Do you have any other pets?
We've had 2 cats. We were working out the other day. We haven't got any now, but we've been married 34 years next September. And during the 34 years you've been married, we've had over 18 cats. Well, the last 2 were 10. One died the week before Christmas last year. So we just come up to the anniversary. The brother and sister, Leo and Diamond. We came downstairs one morning and Diamond was just lying on the floor by a food tin, by a food bowl, just not with us. And Leo, he'd been sneezing a lot during the first part of lockdown. And we thought, we'd heard that something could happen with COVID with animals. So we took him to the vet. They put a camera up his nose and found a tumour. So rather than let him struggle, we just said, say goodbye now. So we said goodbye to him.
Oh.
That was sad.
Yeah, that must have been really difficult.
Yeah. Because we just left him at the vet's and then came home and got a phone call saying we found a tumour. And that was it, sort of thing. It was just like, so we said to the vets, we've got to bring him out of the anaesthetic, bring him home, and then in another 2 or 3 weeks' time, the tumour could then get worse. Then we've got to take him back again. I wouldn't put the cat through that. So it's unfair to do that. So we just said, just say goodbye to him for us now. So we did.
Oh, that's really sad.
But it's been an empty house since that time. But yeah, it's been a difficult time as well, obviously with lockdown, because we're spending more time at home than we've ever done before. I think we're all doing that, aren't we?
Yeah.
But, yeah, just moving forward, doing the things that we do. I'll just pop in the garden when I can go in the garden because of my neurological illness that I have. Just do what I can when I can. That's what my neurologist told me. He says, Ian, this is going to get worse, but you must do what you can when you can. And if you can't, then you don't do it.
So, Ian, do you have a favourite film?
Favourite film? Yeah. Top Gun.
Oh, so good.
Top Gun. I'm waiting to see the new one, but it's been delayed, hasn't it, because of COVID?
Yeah.
Top Gun. I must have seen that. I don't know how many times I've seen that. Top Gun is just brilliant. I love aircraft anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But jets, it's just another thing for me. Jets are, sounds sad, I know, but no, Top Gun is one of my favourite films, and also maybe the obvious for a man of my age, James Bond. You know, all the James Bond movies I've seen probably 6-7 times. Every time they're on the TV, I have to watch them. I've got the whole DVD set of James Bond films anyway, so I can watch them whenever I need to watch them.
So you're quite a film man then?
No, not really. No, I'm not, because we like going to the cinema, but it has to be something that's really good that we really want to see. But in regards to films, we've got Netflix, but I've never watched it. It's there for the granddaughter who comes when she's here full time now. But when she used to come and visit us at the weekends, we just let her use Netflix, because I don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't use Netflix, but I've not even watched any films during the. I like series. I like.
Give us a good series that you've watched.
I've just watched, because they're all on iPlayer at the moment. I've been watching Line of Duty because we didn't see the first series. We only seen the last two, so I've been watching those during the time of lockdown. So that's been good.
So good, really, really good.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain genre of music you like listening to, or a certain artist that you love?
This is difficult, because my wife Angie, she's 9 years older than me, and I'm very proud that she is, and I'm very proud of the person that she is. But her taste in music compared to mine is completely wayward. Angela, my wife, is all this headbanging thing, even at the age she's at. I'm more the easy listening type music, which is I was brought up in the 60s of the Beatles and Jim Reeves and Engelbert dumper truck, as we used to call him. Well, you know who I mean, don't you? Engelbert and Tom Jones and Jim Reeves and all that. So although that's not my favourite type of music, I like to listen to virtually any type of easy listening, quiet music. I don't like this hip hop and headbanging music.
Yeah.
If Angela's out in the car, I always know when she's coming down the street, because especially in the summer, because the radio's turned right up full high, the windows are down, and there's music blasting out of the window. Whereas me, I'm a little bit more, although I'm quite a confident, outgoing person, my music is very the opposite to me. I like the quiet side of music.
You just said you're quite a confident, outgoing person. If your friends were to describe you in 3 words, how do you think they would describe you?
Caring, loving, and approachable.
Oh, they are lovely ones.
And the reason why I say that is because when we used to be in the groups at Changes, we used to have to write 3 things down about the person next to you, didn't you? And pass it all around. So if there's 12 in the room, you got 12 times 3 compliments. And then it came back to you, then you used to be able to read them, but you didn't necessarily know who put them on there. But yeah.
That one's always a nice session, isn't it?
Yeah. I love that session. I can't remember the group it was, or the course that we did on that, because I've done that many.
Yeah.
But that was always good to know that people writing something about you that they'd learned during the 6 weeks of you being there, or a 3-week course, or whatever the course was. Yeah.
So you have done like practically all of the courses multiple times.
Yes.
Can you pick your favourite?
If you want the honest truth, no, because they've all helped. And even if you do them multiple times, you learn different things, because there's different people who go to those sessions.
Yeah.
So you learn the things that they've said about themselves that help you to recover further. And even though there'd be the same person, tutor, administrator doing the tutoring, it might be the same person that does the course, but it's different in so many ways.
Yeah, they're all so different depending on who's in them. They're never the same. Yeah, absolutely.
Because all the tutor, the teacher, if you like, standing at the front of the room, will ask the same question as she asked 12 months ago to a different group, and you get completely different answers. Completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was a little naughty from time to time because I would play devil's advocate sometimes, especially when they used to say, forget the past. You can't change the past. I would always challenge that.
Mm-hmm.
If Louisa or Chrissy said, forget about the past is gone, we have to move forward to the future. And I would always challenge that. And I did it with a little bit of devilment because I know what they were meaning, because we do have to move forward. We all have to move forward in life. Life's not about living in the past. It's about making it right for you from today and thinking about tomorrow, next week, next year, what you can achieve, especially through mental health. It's always about making yourself a better person and becoming a better person during that time. So although I was being a little bit of a devil, it was always a case of, well, yeah, we've got to challenge the tutors and the teachers at the front of the room from time to time. And I was the one that did that quite a lot. If you speak to Louisa, you just ask her. You remember?
It's good though, because it opens up conversation, doesn't it? It starts a conversation.
Absolutely, and it did that. And it did that a lot. Well, a lot of people said at the interview, I got your point. I knew what you were getting at.
Mm.
And even at the end, I used to go back to Louisa or back to Phil at the end, or Chris, and say, I was sorry about that. I know that might have been a little bit awkward for you, but I didn't mean to be awkward. I was just trying to bring the best out of the group. Because
everything's perspective, isn't it? Everyone's
I was quite vocal. I was quite vocal, and some of the people wouldn't speak for the first 3 or 4 weeks. But I didn't want to be the one that always spoke or always answered the tutor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's have a chance to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if somebody who is struggling with their mental health is watching this now, what would you like to say to them?
Don't be afraid to be afraid. It's okay not to be okay. And you must get in touch with changes, either direct, because I know you can self-assess, can't you? You can self-assess, or either that or through your doctor. But please, whatever you do, don't just bottle it all up. You've got to go and get the help. And if somebody can help anybody struggling for mental health, and I'm not really saying this because it's helped me, changes can do that. And I mean that seriously. And I did. And I've had lots of people telling me that I've known that have been to changes. Changes? What's changes? What's all that about? I don't know anything about changes. What do you mean you can go and sit and talk about your problems? What's all that about? And Margaret's one of them, my friend Margaret. Changes? What's all that about? I didn't know anything about it. She said, but I'm glad that I do, because I've met some wonderful people, and I've also become a better person and been able to manage my mental health because of it. But no, please, whoever's watching this, please, please, please do not bottle it all up. Don't do what I did initially and bottle it all up, because you as a person, you as a human being, you as somebody who breathes this fresh air that goes around the world today, you're worth much more than that. You have to look after yourself. So please go and get the help, regardless of who it's with. But I would certainly be rest assured that changes will bring you out of the person that you think you are to who you might can well become. Take me, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. That was lovely. Thank you. Very poignant note to end on. So, Chris?
Okay. I just want to say thank you, Ian, for your time and your
Not a problem.
inspiring and powerful story. I hope that somebody watching this does take a leaf out of your book, really, and say there's always a tomorrow, isn't there, if you get the help and try and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrows are important to people, and the past is important as well, but how you deal with the past is the problem. And if you can deal with the past, you can deal with the future a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.